Colin Nduga, a resident of Mbale 4 years ago, was involved in a terrible accident which changed his life forever. The accident resulted into the amputation of one of his limbs and since has been facing a challenging life. According to Nduga, he has been finding it difficult to get employment and now agitating for people with disabilities to get employed in public service.
Disability, I got it. I was driving from Karamoja. I was coming back. I reached a place called Aloit. The front tire of my Diana had to burst. The vehicle lost control. It had to throw me up to around some trees. So
Nduga says they go through a lot of discrimination in public offices, workplaces, and even the public transport.
Government officials and people who have been placed in any position, they don't look at your ability to perform. They look at your disability. In that, they forget that you can sometimes perform even better than a person of 2 legs.
The woman member of parliament representing people with disabilities, Laura Kanushu, wants government to strengthen the laws to help disabled people get reasonable consideration while seeking government employment.
Instead of telling the private sector to employ people with disabilities, can government be the first employer of people with disabilities? And what we are pushing now, what is in the pipeline, is that we want public service to give a certain percentage of their employers to persons with disabilities.
Kanushu also says that the people with disabilities also face education discrimination at different stages.
They're not being paid the same amounts of money with the people who do the same job, the same hours, and so that's still a challenge. But I first of all want to ask the private sector to take advantage of that tax waiver, that if you employ this specific number of people with disabilities and get your tax waiver.
This revelation was made at the meeting of people with disabilities and their leaders to help forge a way forward. Thomas Chotuhaire from the civil society says more than 400 people with disabilities have been trained in different skills to survive on their own.
Pushed out from workspaces because these workspaces are not accessible and conducive for persons with disabilities. And persons with disabilities here, I mean all disability categories. Many of the persons who have been employed with disabilities are mainly those with physical impairments.
The last 4 years have seen over 170 people with disabilities gain formal employment from both government and private institutions. According to a 2014 report from Uganda Bureau of Statistics, people with disabilities in Uganda represent 12.4%, of which 1.3% can access formal employment. The file was compiled by Chris Semalemu Semakula and Adams Mayambala for CTV PM Edition.